Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we are talking skincare brands entering their flop era. Now, when it comes to business, there are always highs and lows, ups and downs. And in this video, I want to talk about a few skincare brands that were like big business a few years ago, but maybe aren't talked about as much today. There's a lot of reasons for that. It might be reformulations, price rises, or just changes in what people are looking for in the market. These are the brands that may be on the lips of everyone a few years ago, but today don't get the same attention. We're going to get that conversation going, so sit back, relax, let's talk some skincare flop era. Now, before we get into this video, just a huge disclaimer to say this is just a little tongue-in-cheek. These brands are all big million sellers. So, whilst I'm talking about how perceptions of them might have shifted, maybe they're not as popular as they once were, that doesn't mean that if you're using and enjoying their products, you need to abandon them. Absolutely not. It's rather just about a conversation for those of us that are interested in the wider skincare market. It's also worth noting that all of this is cyclical. If I filmed this video last year, we might be saying brands like The Ordinary would probably be on that list. They hadn't had some new releases in a long time. Maybe some of the interest was dying down. Well, this year, their new releases have been like A+, and everyone's talking about them again. So just remember, these things are always cyclical, which is why it's always worth getting that conversation going in the comment section below. If you enjoy this style of content, a little more free-flowing, talking about the wider skincare industry, let me know by giving the video a thumbs up and a like. If it gets a lot of likes, of course I'll try and feature this style of content more often in my future filming schedule, because I always want to create the videos that you guys enjoy watching. Now, with all that out of the way, let's cut that waffle and delve straight on in. So I'm going to start with a brand that is still a big presence in drugstores here in the UK, but doesn't seem to be getting as much hype online. And that brand is this Nip+Fab. So if you think back to 3 years ago, maybe even a little longer, this was a brand that was all over Instagram. It was all over YouTube. TikTok wasn't as big a thing back then, so it wasn't a big TikTok brand. But I think it's just, as a brand, failed to translate. And some of the issues, I think, go back to what is their unique selling point? Who are they appealing to? Ultimately, I think the reason why it took off is the beautiful packaging. And the packaging, honestly, is like A+ divine. But aside from the eye-catching colours, the formulations were a little confused. I think they overpromised and underdelivered. So two of the products I've got here, this is the Mandelic and Charcoal Fix Serum, which actually I really, really like, but it's badged as like detoxifying the skin, whereas actually it's just an exfoliator. And this is the Nip+Fab Illuminate Vitamin C Fix Concentrate. Concentrate, they use things like extreme in their language, really to hype up the products. And you look at the concentrations, and it's like a 5% vitamin C. Like, fine, but it's not extreme, it's not concentrated. It's, I think often they overpromised and underdelivered. So when people were reaching for their extreme peel pads, which were one of their bestseller, and they didn't really get any peeling and they didn't really get that great results, I think people thought, maybe this isn't the brand for me. Now, they have launched some products recently which have started to get a little bit of traction. So maybe this is a brand that next year we'll all be fangirling over again. Like I say, it's all cyclical. But for me, it was a brand that I was interested in 3 years ago. But like with a lot of, online presence, I just don't think it's connecting the way maybe it used to. So props to them. The packaging is absolutely divine. Have you tried any of their products? What do you think? Sound off in the comment section below. And if you do want to buy one of their products, I think this is probably the best. It's a great mandelic acid treatment, particularly for people with oily, acne-prone skin. I would definitely recommend this. The rest of it, yeah, I think my guide to Nip+Fab would be their extreme products are actually just standard concentrations. Their non-extreme ones are actually quite low concentrations. So reset your mind with this brand if you are thinking of trying them. Now, a brand which I think is going to be a little controversial because lots of people love their products and their products are phenomenal, but you just don't see the brand talked about as much, is NIOD. Sorry, I've got a cat hair. Sorry about that. My cats are with us in presence. I seem to have a cat hair. Let me know in the comments, whenever you're doing your skincare routine, and I've literally just done mine, do you always end up with an enormous amount of cat and dog hair like glued to your skin? Or is that just me? So NIOD. So this is the brainchild of the set of Decium, the brand that owns The Ordinary. Used to own Hylamide before they discontinued them, and a really, really great brand. I think some of the problems surrounding NIOD is that they haven't really launched any new products in a whole long space of time. And so whilst I don't think you always have to be churning out new product month in, month out, that gets a little much. You do always have to have something new to kind of capture the imagination and pique the interest of people online. Of course, we are all fickle. As human beings, we are fickle. And whilst whilst I try to stay loyal to my favourite brands and favourite products, there is always something shiny and new. And because the NIOD haven't really introduced anything new to their collection in, well, I think it's probably about 3 years. I think that's some of the reason why the hype has died down a little bit. Also, the average price of their product has gone up 40% in the last 3 years. That's a big price hike. And with a lot of people tightening their belts at the moment, you know, a lot of people are looking for dupes and alternatives. NIOD just isn't that brand that's really affordable anymore. It was never cheap. It was never designed to be affordable in a drugstore, but it was always designed to be affordable when you consider the quality of the formulation. Now I think that's kind of separated. The formulation is still like amazing, but the price point is so high, I think I'm not sure I can really justify spending on it. There are a couple of holy grails I stick to. I love the copper amino isolate lipid. They do a beautiful superoxide dismutase mist, which is beautiful, beautiful on skin. They still have holy grails, but I think the price point and the lack of new products is what I think is damaging this brand in terms of its, you know, its appeal online and the number of mentions that it actually gets. I don't know their sales figures. They might be doing absolutely amazingly, but I do know since the price rises have come in, a lot of us, and you guys have often said this in the comments, kind of wait till the November sale before we buy any of their products. And if you're doing that with a brand, it kind of implies it's a bit too high priced in the first place. Now, a brand which I really wondered, do I include on this list or do I not? Because I think they were in their flop era a year ago and they're almost coming out of it now. But let's talk about it. The Inkey List. So a year ago, 2 years ago, a lot of people were saying, yeah, the Inkey List. Their new launches were dire, like really nothing great, nothing spectacular. They overpromised, they underdelivered. The prices crept up. People really didn't like what the brand was doing, and they started to reformulate some of their holy grails like this, the oat cleansing balm, and people were like, it doesn't work anymore. What's the point? Like, what's the point of it? Separates, it doesn't work. This isn't a brand that are doing reformulations for the right reasons. It just seemed like cost cutting, and a lot of people moved on. There was a lot of talk about this product, the succinic acid blemish treatment, with people saying this was just bad marketing. This product relies on sulfur to deliver the spot fighting benefit, but sulfur isn't sexy, so they thought, oh, succinic acid, let's, you know, make that front and center to sell the product. And a lot of people called them out on it and said it's fancy marketing over actual quality formulations. And yeah, they went from a brand that 5 or 6 years ago everybody was buying and loving to one that very few people actually talked about. Now, this has turned around a little bit recently. Their tripeptide plumping lip balm is genuinely amazing. It's getting a lot of praise online. People are saying how wonderful it is. Did a little shorts video, which I'll leave a link to up there if you want to check it out. Everybody loves that product, and for a good reason. It's back to what the Inkey List do well. High quality formulations at affordable prices. And I think I've heard like a few whispers about some of their newer launches that are coming like down the track, and they sound quite good too. So I think this is a brand that's almost exiting that flop era and could be growing again. And they're a British brand, and I'm always happy to support fabulous British brands. So I very much hope that that's the case. And I guess we'll see in the coming years. I don't think, you know, they were also the driving force behind Selfless by Hiram, which had very mixed reviews on launch, and the Inkey List were like front and center on like powered by the Inkey List and things, and I think that may be distracted from some of the other things that we're doing in the market, and now they've kind of got like a side brand to their main brand that they've got to manage. I think some of that might have been the problem. Let me know your thoughts below. Now, I did say earlier that some of these selections might be a little controversial, like the NIOD, like the Inkey List. One that I don't think is that controversial, I think everyone will agree is kind of in that flop era, is Kylie Skin. The brainchild of Kylie Jenner. This was one of the first celebrity skincare lines that hit the market. It sold ridiculously well on launch. Everyone wanted to get their hands on it. The problem with this brand was the formulations were average, the price point was above average, and so everybody tried it because they wanted to either support Kylie or they wanted to try the brand that everyone was talking about. They tried it and thought, yeah, you know what, these products are fine. But there was nothing there to make you want to repurchase it. So once everyone had done their initial purchase, and I tried the cleanser and I tried one of the masks, and they were fine. But there was nothing there that made me want to buy it again. And I think that's the problem. It had its moment, had its hype, but nobody could really justify to themselves repurchasing, which is why it kind of just faded. And you don't really see it mentioned that much now. The packaging as well was really like in your face, like pink and fabulous and amazing, and very much of the aesthetic, say 3 years, 4 years ago, whenever it launched. Now people look at it and think, maybe it's a little tired, maybe it's a little not, like with the whole Barbie movie thing going on, everyone kind of went for that pink thing, and I think other brands do it better, and they don't have that niche in the market anymore. So I think there was a lot of things going on. I'm not sure that this is a brand that's going to be around for much longer, if I'm honest. Read me to filth in the comments if you disagree or you love their product, but yeah, I don't think, I think it was of a moment. I don't think it's going to be translating very well into future, into the future and other people's purchasing decisions. Now, finally, I saved the most controversial to last because it's a brand that I've never liked. And I know when I don't like a brand, and I'm talk quite openly about not liking a brand, obviously people are going to say, you're saying it's a flop because you don't like it, but the whole world likes it. And so I'm going to keep this factual and not my opinion on this. I think a brand which was doing amazingly well 3 years ago that is kind of not doing as well now is this brand, CeraVe. And I'm going to duck and cover because I know that people are going to come for me in the comments, but hear me out. Look, they still sell hundreds of millions of pounds worth of product, and most brands on planet Earth would literally do anything to be in that position. They're not flopping in the sense of nobody's buying their products. They are. It's just versus what was happening 2 years ago. This was a brand that every influencer fangirled about. Hiram here on YouTube was like the biggest advocate of CeraVe. They did paid partnerships with just about every dermatologist. They promoted their products and they really, really took off. They were the best-selling skincare brand at one point, which is now, that's a crown that's now been relinquished. They were the #1 most searched for skincare brand, again, no longer. And I think a lot of it is now the hype has started to die down. And honestly, I think this has happened for a number of reasons. So their main market was like Gen Z, the younger demographic. And people were drawn into the simplicity of it, the fact it was dermatologist recommended. That was ticking a whole host of boxes. And I think some of the issues around that Gen Z as a demographic group, if you generalize, actually kind of expect a little bit more. And when you dig into it, CeraVe owned by a multinational corporation that has you could do your own research on that, but doesn't have a blemish-free record, let's just put it that way. Still, animal tests on animals when it comes to CeraVe, alongside some other products over in China, and have never really tried to do anything to get around that and say, okay, we could pull out of China. We could not test our products on animals and just forego some of the profit. Instead, it was like profit driven. And so I think, when you're targeting a group which is becoming increasingly more conscious about the things around this and you're not living up to the expectations, that's always going to take a hit. I think also a lot of the content creators which were huge fans of CeraVe aren't necessarily creating the same content now. So Hiram used to be a huge advocate in his long form content, doesn't create as many videos now, and so not getting the same mentions, it's hard to sustain that hype. Some of their newer launches as well just weren't great. just weren't great. And I do also think that there are a lot of other options on the market now. When CeraVe hit, ceramides were like the #1 most popular skincare ingredient. And now there are a lot of other brands that feature ceramides as standard, so you don't need to reach for CeraVe if you want your ceramide hit. I mean, one of my favourite brands is this. This is the Face Facts Ceramide Barrier. It actually has a higher concentration of ceramides and more in terms of total number of ceramides than the CeraVe equivalent. It's also a fraction of the cost and it's cruelty-free. So people are saying, you can get alternatives elsewhere. You don't just have to stick to CeraVe. Now, they have their hardcore fans, and I'm not here to take anything away. I said at the start of this video, if you like any of the products or the brands mentioned today, keep using them. It's just about talking about, getting conversation going around trends in skincare. And I think where, CeraVe was like the #1 skincare brand, say just like 2 or 3 years ago. If you look at the stats now in terms of search volumes and sales and things, they're somewhere around the 6th or 7th. Now, that's still impressive, but it's that downward that slide. And I think if they want to turn it around, increase the sales again, get back on to where they want to be, I think looking at things like the ethics behind things, doing a little bit more in that field is really, really important. I'd love for them to go cruelty-free. I don't think they will. I think the multinational corporation controls that. I'd love to see that. I think they need to focus more on the quality of their new formulations rather than just relying on ceramides and paid partnerships and promotion. Get the word out a bit more organically. That were my thoughts. But again, share your thoughts below. In this video, I just wanted to talk a little bit more widely about the skincare industry. Some of the comings and goings, some of the hot brands, some of the brands that may be losing some of their heat, and just, talk about it for us true skincare nerds. What do you think? Would you like to see more content like this? Are there any other brands that you would throw into this list? Let me know in the comment section below, wherever you are in the world, guys. Stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye!